Thanks for joining us today. How you feeling?
Oh, I feel great. We here.
I feel you. I see you with the shades and all that. You chilling. We like it. So,
I'm on Cali time right now.
Cal, it's different. It's different.
Yeah.
Let's jump right into it. So, you're from the East Coast originally, from Boston. So, and you're of Latin roots. So, talk about that dynamic growing up. What it was like in Boston, and also being Latin in Boston.
Well, I'm half Puerto Rican, half Italian. So, my mom is from Massachusetts. My dad is from New York. So that's how I kind of got, I have Latin heritage and Italian heritage, and it's both pretty strong in my life. I've been back and forth, like moved around my whole life, so I feel like I got a good taste of culture all over, and that was a product of me, and now I'm a product of all those cultures.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I remember reading other places that it was hard at times growing up as a mixed kid because you felt out of place in certain regards. Something I can relate to, being mixed myself. So talk about that a little bit more.
Okay, so I feel like it's a mixed kid struggle. I feel like anyone that's mixed kind of knows it better than anybody else. It's kind of just having that constant search for identity because you don't just have one place where you identify with. So me being half Puerto Rican, half Italian, my little sister's half black, so my stepfather is who raised me. So I always felt like, I got I was a little bit of everything. I didn't feel like, I was white enough to be with just all white people or Puerto Rican enough to hang out with all Puerto Ricans or, black enough to hang out with all black people. So I just got a taste of everything, man. And I feel like that's what made me who I am, just getting to really know myself and not know myself as a label. And I
Yeah,
think,
for sure.
I think more
So
mixed kids deal with that growing up. Like you have to identify yourself.
yeah, and for real, and it's also like a largely untouched upon issue. Um, but when did you start feeling like you were comfortable where you was at in the lane that you chose? At what point did you start feeling that?
I always felt comfortable. Like
Okay.
I'm a Leo, so I'm always like outgoing. I have a lot of friends. It's never hard for me to fit in and like fit in the room and just maneuver around it on my own. So I feel like I never had a problem with that. That wasn't never a struggle for me. It was just more so like making other people understand me. That was more so my issue, and I think that that's a issue that a lot of people deal with. Is like they're like, no, I know myself, but other people don't get me. So
Yeah, yeah, that's a fact, and it's interesting too because like I'm not Latin myself, but I got New York, all my homies Latin in one way or another. And you had this quote where you were talking about your parents, and while they were really supportive of you rather, that they didn't really see a lane life beyond manual labor. So you coming about deciding that you wanted to pursue music. What was that dynamic like?
oh, my grandparents are so old school. Like they were like, you want to do music? Like who does music? Like and do what? Get a like what are you gonna do with it? Like everybody who just didn't they didn't really understand it. I feel like a lot of people don't understand that there's a lane and a path for creativity as a whole. And when you're a creative person, like whether it be in the arts, whether it be in music, whether it be in acting, whatever it is, like there's always going to be something for you. If you're an actor and it doesn't work, then there's script writing. If you're a rapper and it doesn't work, then you can open a label, you can manage somebody, you can songwrite. So I feel like, people just don't have a wide enough scope of like where their life can go, and they're so used to like, oh, well, go to college and get a 9 to 5. And that 9 to 5 just never felt like for me. I was like, that shit is not for me. Like, I do not belong in this 9 to 5. I have way too much swag to be in this 9 to 5. I cannot wear a uniform.
Yeah, I feel you on that. And kind of touching on what we're talking about, with your mixed heritage, you you're in a bunch of different realities at once. And I think that kind of shows in your music with, this kind of Latin trap that you have going on. And it's actually interesting because in New York, there's a new wave of that, right? Where you have a lot of trap beats and artists jumping on these trap beats, Latin artists more specifically. Yours is unique that I have never really heard like Spanglish versions. I would hear the panda beat and then someone going ham in Spanish over it, but I never heard someone that would incorporate different languages into the same song. So how did you kind of find your style and like your personal lane to go through?
I'm so glad that you asked that because the first song that I did that I felt like was like that. I always like played with Latin culture in my music, and I always
Mm.
like like beats with Latin samples and. But the first song I really did that was with Crystal Kane's Latina, and it just like I pre-made it on Karma Loop. We shot the video with Karma Loop. Shout out to Show Me, and it was just a dope vibe, and for a lot of people at that time it wasn't done yet, and they were like, wow, can you do more of this? Like this is something different. So I started doing different like just started throwing more Spanish in my raps and in my lyrics, and it went crazy. Now we at Safari where we're doing full songs in Spanish, so I feel like it just goes like, it just I didn't even see it coming, so it just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's what's up. And we definitely gonna touch on that, the Safari track. I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves though. Let's break it back down before the LA move, before all that, right? So let's describe the Boston music scene, because I know there's a bevy of talent there that really gets underreported, in the sense that only major artists that I really heard coming out of Boston, people like Cousin Stiz, that sort of lane. So what's the music scene like in Boston?
Believe it or not, it's so big. Like there's a huge underground music scene in Boston. First of all, like a lot of other artists from other cities pop out of Boston before they pop in a lot of other cities, because that we have like those venues where people end up doing shows at first, like the Middle East and things like that. So I feel like there's the culture there, but it's so weird because for some reason this is like the first year I feel like where Boston's really like is doing like some great things. Like there's so many people. It's not even just like me or just Stiz. Like there's a lot of dope people like Millie's and Av and just join us. Some really sick people that came out the city, like that they don't really like. They don't see that everybody's coming all at once. So I feel like this is the year where that's happened.
Yeah. Why do you think it took so long?
I feel like maybe it took long because people didn't know it was possible. I would have never known it was possible. If you would have asked me 4 years ago when I put out High on YouTube, would it ever get to Family? I would have never thought, never ever in a million years. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Legend.
I was
And
just
shout out
like,
to y'all young boys who don't know about Family. All right, Legend, do your research.
yeah. It's crazy because like when Fam found me, I was like, like he was like, yo, this is dope. And I was like, I was young. I was like, okay, that's cool. Like, you like it? You think it's dope? Like, so what we gonna do? Like,